What's up, everybody? Welcome to the only app you need and the Sunday sermon. Doing this a little later in the day. Sorry about that. If those of y'all that one of you that gets up and watches this early, sorry about that. All one of you, but I actually jotted things down this week as I was just sitting around watching the news in the morning, doing whatever I do. So I'm just things that I jotted down during the week. We're gonna preach on them. Right? First thing I jotted down at the beginning of the week, I was like, what was that? It was Elon's son walking behind him. I don't know if y'all saw this video, but this is where everybody's going now. Elon's walking off the stage, and his little boy, how old is he? I don't know, like 4, 5, whatever he is. I don't know. I may be off there, but he's walking off, and his son kind of lags a little bit behind him, and he turns around and tells him to come on, and then his boy catches up, and then he falls behind again, and everybody's like, what a bad dad, what a bad dad. Shut the fuck up. Y'all people are just stupid. You're so crazy now, you're going after Elon Musk, who was at one time, just like Joe Rogan, one of y'all's. Just like Tulsi Gabbard was one of y'all's. Just like RFK Jr. was one of y'all's. Y'all are just batshit crazy. So just shut up, let Elon be Elon, let him carry this, the chainsaw. I said that was a little crazy, but that's what he is, all right? It is what it is. Second thing I noticed, France, I believe in Paris or a coffee shop in France, it was a grenade attack thrown in the window, shit blown up. I honestly don't remember how many people were killed, but as I was watching Sky News, and I don't know what y'all watch. I watch YouTube. I'm a big YouTube person. And the thing that's on my YouTube the most is Sky News. I watch either, Sky News is out of the UK and there's some out of Australia and stuff, but I watch Sky News. I don't watch a lot of American news unless it's just up there scrolling on stuff. But what was funny was, Sky News Australia, they hammered the hell out of Biden. They really didn't like him. But Sky News the UK, I think it's still on the take, even though, again, I'm looking at a European perspective because, there's really nothing to look at in America right now because Trump's China, bull in a China shop in it, and I think it's pretty funny. But immediately, this grenade had just been launched and whatever, and the headline underneath, terrorism ruled out. How's terrorism ruled out? And my next question is, I would assume guns are hard to get in France and the UK, and people are getting shot in the UK. People just walking around with grenades. It said grenade, hand grenade. So, France, get a hold of your people. You let in the vagabonds, you let in all sorts of things, and now grenades are going through your window. And I guess I should go back and check before I just comment on this, but I'm not going to. I'm going to assume it's not a Scandinavian-looking, German-looking person that did it, but I guess it could be. But anyway, number 3, Doge. I have Trump firing veterans. Evidently you hear in some of the stuff that's getting swept up with Doge is, hardworking veterans who just needed a job, who they get swept up under the rug, swept up in the mess, and they got fired. All I got to say is maybe it happens, maybe it didn't. But first things first, I'm quite certain there is no doubt in my mind if a veteran gets fired who is worth it. Because just because you're a veteran and you're in a job doesn't mean you don't have to do that job. Now, I'll be upfront and I'll say this. If you're a veteran and you were wounded in any type of war or anything, I think your housing should be paid for. I think we owe you a house. I think we owe you some type of just living wage the rest of your life. But everybody knows a man that doesn't have a job, doesn't have a work, we don't have meaning. So, give that veteran something. But I'm quite sure there's probably useless veterans. If you're not useless, I bet Trump brings you back. Just all I'm going to say. And yes, there are such thing as useless veterans. Sorry, there's useless everything. The big one right now that's really on my mind, this is funny as hell because I'm looking at Sky News right now and big meetings are going on, was the Zelensky meeting in the White House. I don't know if I've said this before, but I've always thought Zelensky was a little piece of shit who I'm pretty sure he was already rich before the war, but I know he's really rich right now. I believe he was, put in to funnel the money everywhere, and that's what he did. And he doesn't give a shit about all the people that have died, because I've talked to people from Eastern Europe that can assure me that the beginning of the war, they promised. At some point, I'll go through and say, they've told me that the beginning of the war, the way the media was portraying it, was not happening. That they knew people in Kiev and all this kind of stuff, and that's not what was going on. So, in my opinion, the beginning of the war was, shall we say, a scam. It was a sham. It was they went on so far. I've been told they went to so far as to put a bombed, burnt out vehicle in front of a building and shot it and said, "This is happening in cities in Ukraine and everything," with the building behind it, glass not broken, nothing. So, that's a pretty deep level of bullshit that we probably pulled off, or the Biden administration pulled off. And we know we pulled off the coup in 2014. We were responsible for Ukraine, 100%. So Zelensky coming in and telling people, talking the way he did to, Trump and Vance, didn't work out very well. I, for one, am smiling. I love every minute of it. I love Trump telling him, "You don't have the cards. You don't have the cards." "Well, we're not playing poker." No, yeah, you are. You're playing poker with World War III. You don't have the cards, you son of a bitch. Loved it. And now, after that, I watched Sky News this morning, and they're calling us an unreliable ally, a rogue nation, blah, blah, blah. Look, Europe, go do your shit. Go do, NATO. Go do whatever the hell you need to do. Just go do it. I don't want to be with you anymore. I'll freely admit, I would rather form an alliance. And by alliance, I mean a trading alliance with Russia and China. Us, Russia, China, and whoever in South America wants to come along, and some Saudi nation, some Arabic nations that want to play nice and do all that kind of stuff. I'd love to just do business with them. Don't need Europe. We don't need Europe. Y'all need us. That's very arrogant of me to say, but it's also correct. We don't need Europe. You need us. And by Europe, I mean NATO. I guess, let me rephrase that. We don't need NATO. NATO needs us. Because there's plenty of European nations that we need to have good relations with. France isn't one of them. I could care less what France thinks. Right now, the UK, I could care less what the UK thinks. Germany, I think they're headed in the right direction. Conservative and the alt-right really won the election, but the Conservative Party won't work with the alt-right. So they're going to go back to, the pink hairs and all that kind of shit. So Germany's in a downward spiral. I could care less. And again, I've said this before. How come Germany, the nation that started two wars, or been a big part of two major wars in Europe, how come they still have a country? But the Ottoman Empire doesn't. How come? I think it's a pretty simple question. But now we're the rogue nation. Okay, rogue number one. Anyway, what will Trump do? I predict that we're going to, completely pull out of everything. It looks like today all the meetings with NATO and they were getting on their knees to hug him because that's how small he is. I'm making fun of him. So it looks like they're all in with him. Be all in with him. I think Trump will just say to Putin, "Hey, whatever they do, do what you need to do." I would recommend, Putin, you just kind of stop at Ukraine. I don't want you trying to go everywhere else, which I don't think he wants to do. I just think he would like for Russian-speaking people to be part of Russia if they would like to be. And polls show that, that part of Ukraine that would like to be Russian, that speaks Russian, would like to be Russian. Just let them. I got no problem with that, But I think he's just going to say to Putin, do what you got to do, but we're not going to get involved. We're not going to get involved. You just can't go attack the UK. You can't, you can't go attack. I'd let him attack France. I could care less in Italy. Take them. But, and then we're going to try to work with China. I think China will eventually get Taiwan. Hopefully not a single U.S. soldier has to do anything about it because, it's none of our business. All our chips are made there. Okay, well, fuck. Start making chips here. Start making shit here. I don't know what to say. Someone's got to say it. But I also think Trump is doing an outstanding job. An outstanding job. I think Vance has been an outstanding person so far. I think they're doing great jobs. And all of a sudden, executive orders are bad. When all of us, in the past, Biden was like, I'm going to forgive student debt, and the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. And I'm going to do it anyway. Now, all of a sudden, that's a bad thing. I always say be careful with the powers you want to give to somebody because the next guy may come in and do that shit too. So right now, we're the ones doing that shit too. Someone's got to say it. So I'm the only app you need.